We've made significant advancements in rocket development and technology, but it's baffling to believe that we haven't revisited the moon since the Apollo missions in the 1960s and 1970s. People truly wonder why we haven't made our return trip, given our impressive achievements back then. This is exactly what we'll be discussing in today's video. However, the answer isn't as clear-cut as you might think. After the triumph of Apollo 11, there was a lot of hope for more moon missions. And for about 3 years, NASA pulled off a few significant manned missions to the moon from 1969 to 1972. In 1972, Apollo 17 marked the final human journey to the moon. Launched in the early hours of December 7th, it became the first U.S. rocket to carry astronauts at night. The mission set records for the longest time on the moon's surface, the lengthiest lunar orbit, and the most extended extravehicular activities. Even with the success of Apollo 17 and the missions before it, the original plan from the White House was to stop the Apollo program after Apollo 15. Apollo 16 and 17 proceeded as scheduled, but after 1972, NASA faced too many challenges to keep up with manned lunar missions. But what were these challenges? Firstly, the Apollo program was insanely expensive. More than 400,000 engineers, scientists, and technicians worked on it, and the total bill was $25 billion at that time. In today's money, that's over $150 billion. Initially, people were excited, but as the Vietnam War and domestic issues took the spotlight, many citizens saw the space program as a luxury and a waste of money. By 1972, public interest in NASA and the moon had faded, and politicians had to respond to the growing sentiment that the funds being poured into space programs could be better used elsewhere. There was also a big oil crisis hit, which further made people question the wisdom of spending money on space exploration. The general notion was that going to the moon didn't have practical benefits. Even though NASA had plans for more missions, the political climate and public opinion led to budget cuts, and the dream of going back to the moon was put on hold for decades. Back in 1969, when the world witnessed mankind's first moonwalk, it was a moment of celebrating technological achievement, marking America's win in the space race. But many still find it suspicious that America made it to the moon a year before the 1970s began. They wonder if, to gain an edge in the Cold War, the moon landing was faked because their real mission failed. This idea is just one of many conspiracy theories about the moon landing. Let's shed some light on these theories and whether they hold any weight. Among the many conspiracies regarding the moon landing, one is about the flag planted on the moon after landing. People wonder why it seems to flutter when there's no air on the moon. The explanation is straightforward. The flag taken to the moon had a special design. Unlike regular flags with one vertical rod, this one had an added horizontal rod at the top. NASA did this to ensure the flag was always visible, anticipating that it wouldn't flutter in the moon's airless environment. However, during the Apollo 11 mission, there were issues extending this horizontal rod fully, causing the flag to ripple. Some videos show astronauts holding and moving the flag, creating the illusion of fluttering. In reality, the aluminum rods in the flag acted like springs, causing momentary movement before settling still. Another conspiracy theory suggests that in the photos taken by Armstrong and Aldrin on the moon, stars aren't visible. Conspiracy theorists argue that NASA intentionally left out stars from the photos to prevent astronomers from figuring out if the pictures were taken on Earth or the moon. According to them, including stars would have allowed astronomers to identify and compare their positions, helping determine the actual location of the photos. However, that is not true. The simple answer to this is that the moon landing happened during the day when sunlight was illuminating the moon. The astronauts wore highly reflective white spacesuits, and the cameras of that time lacked the resolution to capture stars against such bright reflections. Even today, if you use a smartphone camera to take a picture at night with the flash on, you won't see stars in the background due to the overpowering brightness. Another theory revolves around the shadows in the moon landing photos, pointing out inconsistencies in their angles. Some argue it's like a Hollywood film suggesting multiple light sources. However, in reality, the sun wasn't the sole light source. The moon's surface, highly reflective, acted as an additional light source, scattering light in various directions. This reflection explains the peculiar shadows seen in the photos. People also question about a photo of Buzz Aldrin taken by Neil Armstrong, where Armstrong's reflection shows him not holding a camera. The explanation is simple. The camera wasn't in his hand but mounted on his suit, allowing control from there. As for photos of Armstrong descending from the lunar module, multiple cameras were installed on it, providing different perspectives. The list of such mindless conspiracy theories is endless, and the fact is that all of them have been debunked several times. If the moon landing was fake, the Soviets, of all people, wouldn't have acknowledged it. The Great Soviet Encyclopedia from 1970 to 1979 stated the moon landing as factual. Soviet articles even celebrated it as the third historic space event, following Sputnik and Yuri Gagarin's feats. Fast forward to today, after over 5 decades, the idea of going back to the moon is gaining traction. NASA's Artemis program is testing unmanned rockets with plans to send the first woman by 2025 to 2026, followed by the first person of color. Despite challenges and costs, it looks like we might witness humans on the moon again by the end of this decade. If you enjoyed this video, don't forget to like, share, and subscribe for more space content. As always, thanks for watching.